All right, everybody, I am prepped and ready to bring on my guest, the lovely, the talented, and the 2022 Boys and Girls Club of Northwest Indiana Youth of the Year, Jamie Cruz from the Lake Station Clubs and from Miller. She's a phenomenal student, dancer, singer, club work team member, club goer. I'm so excited to learn more about her. Let's bring her on, Jamie Cruz. Let's get to it. Well, joining us today is Jamie Cruz of the Lake Station Boys and Girls Club. You are the Boys and Girls Club 2022, Boys and Girls Club of Northwest Indiana, 2022 Youth of the Year, right?
Yes. Yes, I am.
So tell us a little bit about you, where you're from, what school you're at. Just tell us a little bit about Jamie yourself.
Okay. I go to River Forest High School. I live in Miller or Gary, and I've been going to the club since I was 6 years old.
Wow.
Yes.
So big, and how old are you now?
I am 17.
Okay, so big, impactful, probably piece of your life, huh?
Yes.
And what made you start, I don't know if you remember that because 6 years old, but what made you start when you were 6 years old going to the club?
Well, I wasn't really doing anything at home, per se. I was just kind of like, after school, I would go on the bus and go home. I didn't really have anything to do. And then my best friend at my school, it was in kindergarten, and she went to the club and she really liked it, and she had like friends there from other schools. So I was like, you know what? I want to do it. But I was only 5, and at the time you could only be 6 years old to sign up. So I waited so long. I begged my parents, like, when are you going to take me to the club? When are you going to take me to the club? And they finally were like, okay, we're going to sign you up. And ever since then, it's just always been a part.
You've been there.
Yeah.
And how often do you usually go to the club?
Every day.
Really?
I try to go every day because I also work at the club.
Okay.
So I work as a junior staff, so I try to go every single day if I can.
And when you're working there as junior staff, what do you do?
I help with kids in the learning center with like math, spelling, reading, mainly spelling and reading because that's like my strong suit.
That's where you're best. Okay.
Yeah. And I coach a dance team there as well.
Ooh, cool. What kind of dance?
It's kind of like hip hop, more like I would say kind of like hip hop, sort of majorette. I also throw in like a little jazz here.
Okay.
It's not really anything particular. It's basically like whatever we feel like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where'd you learn how to dance?
At my school.
Really?
My school's dance team. Yeah.
Okay. How long have you been on the school dance team?
Ever since freshman year, and I got promoted to like captain sophomore year.
Wow, impressive.
Yeah.
And is that like favorite pastime hobby for you?
Almost. My favorite pastime hobby has to be like singing because I'm in the choir as well. Yeah.
So dance, choir, you're kind of doing it all.
Yeah.
But you like singing the best.
Yes.
Okay. And you've got like a voice of an angel, I would assume?
I guess you could say something like that.
It's okay. You can brag on yourself. It's fine.
Yeah.
That's good. I love that. So tell me a little bit, for those that don't know, we, it's been about a year now. We interviewed some Youth of the Year contestants previously, but it's been quite some time. So for those that maybe don't follow that, what is the Youth of the Year? Tell us a little bit about what that means, what it takes to receive that kind of, to my understanding, a pretty big honor. What does it take to get to that level?
What Youth of the Year is, I would say, like, I've had people ask me because I like seen it in like articles and stuff, and I would say Youth of the Year is basically to honor, even if it's not like on a huge level, but every single member at the club, like, well, not every single member, but one member at the club from every club, and to give them like, the honor that they deserve for being a dedicated member, for giving back to their community, and to give them an opportunity that they really deserve. Yeah. And I would say what it takes is to know how to write a good essay. And
so yeah, that's a big part of it, is the essay that you turn in. How hard was that for you?
I mean, I'm a pretty good writer. Like I'm in like AP classes for writing. And
Good.
so that helped me a lot. Learning how to write and understanding how to write essays and a speech and stuff like that. But we had to write 3 essays, a cover letter, 1 resume, and a 3-minute speech, somewhere around there, like 3 minutes.
Wow. And what was your favorite part of all of that, and what was your least favorite part of that?
I think my favorite part was writing the essay of like what matters to me, or like what I want to like see change in the world and stuff like that. And my least favorite part probably was writing my speech, because I had never wrote a speech in my life. Like,
And it's definitely different than an essay.
Yes.
Yeah, you've got to
like
have a different sound.
different. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Speeches are tough to write, I think. That's something I've learned. You know, this podcast has taught me. The event that this podcast stemmed from, very similar. I have to get up in front of like 300 people and say words, and you're like, what am I supposed to say? I don't know.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely tough. That's good. And give me kind of the premise of your speech.
So my speech kind of, I guess so you could say it's like a summary of my life at the club. I start from when I got introduced by my friend to like how the club members and the staff have impacted me over time to like mold me into the person I am today. I would say without the club, I would definitely be nowhere near as successful as I am today. It kind of gave me like that strength and the support that I needed to be able to do all those things in my life. And going from there to making my own dance team, like giving back to the kids and stuff like that. It's just kind of like a progression.
Yeah, that they helped you get through that progression.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. That's impressive. It's impressive that you already see that, and it's not looking back 10 years later. It's right in the moment you see that that's a value to you and it's helped you so much. Yeah. That's really good. I'm going to spin this because I think I'm so loud and you're not. It's not bad, but I'm loud.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's dive in. You know, oftentimes we have women of all ages on here. Obviously, you're on the younger end of that, but tell me a little bit about, you know, instead of your job career, it sounds like you're currently working at the clubs and on your dance and on your singing. Tell me kind of what that future looks like for you. So you're in your junior year of high school. Next year you'll be a senior. Do you know what you want to do with the future, or do you not know yet? Do you have plans? Do you know what school? Do you know what career, or not yet?
I have no idea what school. Like, I've had schools in my mind, but I think so far I want to major in psychology, not to go on to become a psychologist, but just to like have a background and work my way up to law school.
Okay.
Yeah, that I guess is have big ambitions, but
that's exactly what you should have. That's fantastic. Yeah. And so you want to go to law school, and do you want to go to Notre Dame? You just want to go to law school in general?
I just want to go to law school, like in general, and I'm not sure if exactly I want to become a lawyer, but I know I do want to get a law degree and go somewhere in that field. And
is that because you want to help people in that field somehow? How did you get to that decision?
I guess, like, I've always been intrigued with law. Like, I don't know, maybe a lot of people find it boring, but, like, when I had to do a project, we had to look at, like, copyright law and stuff like that in Supreme Court cases. And it was just super intriguing to me. I always found an interest for it. And I feel like, given, like, the right circumstances and opportunities, I would be able to do it.
Good. So. Oh, yeah. I think you'll 100% be able to do it. If you've already got Youth of the Year at so young, I think you're going to be just fine in your future, definitely. One thing we talk about a lot on this podcast is other women. This whole podcast and event and everything behind it is all based on uplifting, empowering, and inspiring other women via just being you. how you are and how you're so young but so ambitious and talented and already seeing what you're good at and knowing that and diving into those things. I think that's pretty impactful for other people to see. So for you, tell me about some women, maybe it's one, maybe it's three, whatever that is for you. Tell me about those women that have impacted you just that strong in your life.
I guess I would say many of them come from the club over the years and stuff like that. One was Miss Donna. She used to be the old club director there a few years ago.
Okay.
And she honestly was the person that, like, taught me how to be a leader, I guess I would say. Like, she would always tell me, like, to always be a leader, to never be a follower, because, like, to be a follower, you're never gonna live a life that you want to live.
It's someone else's life.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really good advice.
Yeah. So I've always been a leader ever since then, and she told me that as a kid. She would always drill that to all the club members, like, always be a leader, don't follow anybody else, like, stick up for what you think is right. And, she's always very strong and supportive, and even though she was tough on you, she always wanted the best for you. And I guess I would say
Stuck with you.
Yeah.
That's good. Any other women that really stick out to you, or is she number one?
I don't know. She is number one in, like, the leadership part of it. I guess I would say my mom also. Yeah. Like, my mom's also very strong. She is honestly one of the strongest people I know. She's just, like, she never lets anything get to her. She always moves forward. Always.
It's fantastic that you're already seeing that.
Yeah.
And that's really tough.
Yeah, she's always there for me. She's always supporting me, and she always wants me to do good. She's never, like, pressured me to go into any field or to do anything I don't want to do. She just always made sure it was something I wanted to do, and I was doing it for me and not for anybody else, not even for her.
That's good. And almost the same mentality as Miss Donna. Wasn't it Miss Donna? Right? Yeah. I think is that kind of for you and not for anyone else mentality. Like, the lead. Do what you should be doing, not what everyone else is doing.
Yeah.
And that's hard. And I'm old and you're not. But in high school, that's really hard because it can't be that much different from when I was there. That everyone wants to follow everyone because that's what the cool kids are doing and you want to be the cool kid. How do you stay out of all of that and really stay true to yourself?
Well, I never really got that. Like, there's a lot of people there where it doesn't really matter if they like the person. It matters, like, what social, like, hierarchy they're in. And I'm like, who cares? Like, at the end of the day, after high school, you're probably not going to see any of these kids ever again until, like, 5 years at a gas station somewhere. So, like, is it really that important what they think about you? Like,
thank you for knowing that now. It's something that at, like, 23, I think I looked back and went, man, my mom said that over and over and I never believed her, and it's so true. It's so true. Like, literally, at graduation day, you're like, goodbye, and a third of those humans you never see again. A third of them you see again and oddly become friends with them because you're all grown up. And a third of them, like, stay in your life forever. You know what I mean? They don't matter. So often, especially those folks that you don't get along with or that impacted your life negatively, like literally on, if you graduate on May 5th, May 6th, they no longer matter. They no longer have impact in your life. They no longer matter. And that was really hard for me. So it's impressive that at such a young age you already see that. And it sounds like you've seen it. Like, this isn't yesterday that you realized that. You've known it for a while.
Yeah, I've known it for, like, after middle school, I was just kind of like, when am I, okay, like, I'm
it's
just going to.
4 more years.
Yeah, I'm just going to do what I want to do because, like, I don't really care what you think about me or what your mom thinks about me or, like, anybody. Like, I'm going to do me. If I'm not hurting anybody, if I'm not impacting anybody else, I'm just going to
do my dance, do my singing, and if you don't like it, don't be here.
Yeah, then don't say anything.
And don't say anything. Number one, key. Yes, I love that. That's so impressive. I feel like the younger generation that I see, whether it be through the Boys and Girls Club, teens that I meet, or nieces and nephews that I have in their teens, the younger generations that I see have that mentality so much more than my generation. I mean, I was a chubby kid named Jenny Craig growing up. It was terrible. I got made fun of all of the time. But, yeah, you know, May 6th, I could be me and not have to care what anyone else thought about me. And knowing that now and having a generation that sees that, I think it probably squashes a lot of the drama that would happen because of that too. Do you see that, or is there still, you've managed to stay out of it, but it is still a big thing within the schools?
Like drama?
Mm-hmm. And like the hierarchy and all of the like, I feel like, and maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like the younger generations now are kinder to one another than maybe my generation was. Is that not true? Look, I just get to meet all the cool kids, but maybe that's not true.
Oh, man. Like.
Yeah, tell me.
Okay.
You can be real. It's okay.
Okay, I'll try to be as real as I can. But I feel like the fact that I don't care and I have like a mentality of like, you know, I'm just gonna do me. I'm not really gonna like worry about what anybody else thinks, and that the fact that I'm not trying to show that I like care what everybody else thinks or like get in with like the cool kids or whatever. I feel like that's gotten me into more drama.
Really?
Yes. Like,
because I would think it would almost miss you because you don't care, but it's like maybe people see that and it's almost like a confidence thing where they're like, you're really confident and it's cocky and I don't like it.
Yeah, it's kind of like they see that you don't care and they don't like that.
Yeah.
They want you to care.
Because they want you to depend on them to make you cool or whatever that weird cloud of dust is.
I don't even know what it is. It's just
it's
like...
weird.
It's so unimportant to me.
Yeah, and that's good. It should be. I think that's super smart.
Yeah, I feel like now that there's social media, it's kind of like you could kind of jab at people, like on your stories, on your posts, and you don't have to say it directly to them. So
no one can say, this person's making fun of me, because you can't prove it.
No.
But they still do it.
Yeah. Like, I feel like it's more behind your back, like...
Passive-aggressive?
Yes, yeah. Passive-aggressive. And most people, they don't have the guts to say anything to your face now because they just think that they could say it on social media or they could say it in a text.
Keyboard warrior, yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh, and I love that. But that's good. I think if there's a crew of students and young people like you, that's going to be better. And I think, you know, and I'll ask you this question, actually. Brief sidebar in question. The sidebar being, you know, All About the Girls has a different theme every year at our annual event. And one of the first themes we had was Dear Me, Advice to Give to a Younger You. So the premise being, that would be the advice I'd give to myself if I could go back, is none of that matters. Who cares? It literally is 4 years of your life that once it's done, it doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
But what it can do to you, if you let it matter too much, is hurt a lot of the things that you won't pay attention to because you were paying so much attention to that. So I think it's really humbling and energizing for me to see someone that already is in that point, because that's what I would literally tell myself. It's like, stop worrying about being cool and start working towards your own future, because you're going to waste 4 years of future building because you're worried about like parties or who's cool. And I think that's great. But question being, you're still young, but I bet you have some things that, you know, 17-year-old would tell 10-year-old. Tell me what, you know, today's Jamie would tell 10-year-old Jamie. Do you have any advice for that younger self that you were? Anything that you would maybe change or advise differently?
This is a good question.
I just put you totally on the spot with that one too, but yeah.
I guess I would say, like, to not really worry about, like, failing so much, like, to not worry about if I'm ever going to do this or I'm ever going to do that. Like, you're already so young. Like, you could have just, like, instead of worrying about if I'm going to fail, I'm going to fail, just do it. Like, I don't, like, it took me forever to, like, start doing the things that I was actually wanting to do. Like, it took me around, like, 8th grade to when I started. But I always had, like, thoughts of, oh, I want to, like, do piano. I want to, like, go and sing. And I was always so scared to do something and think, like, am I going to fail? Like, what if I'm not good at it? And people are, like, judging me because I'm not good at something. And I'm telling you, most people aren't really that good at everything that they do. Like,
100%. And it always takes time. And at 12, you're not really great at anything, let's be honest. Because you're 12, like you can't be. But you can start at 12 working towards being really great, and by 18 you could be a pro.
Yeah.
Like at piano or singing or dance or whatever it is, because now you've got 6 years on anybody else. And I think that's really important.
Yeah.
Good. Very good. See, you're wise beyond your years. It's fine. So along with that women piece, a thing we often talk about in this podcast is adversity. Tell me, growing up, what have you already, and maybe you don't have a lot, but most teens, I think, have some sort of adversity, obstacles you've had to overcome, some tough times in your life. Do you have any of those?
I mean, I wouldn't say I had like terrible, like bone-chilling adversity or anything, like any event that happened to me, but I always felt like everybody expected a little bit less from me just growing up. Not my parents or anything like that, but just like school-wise and stuff like that. I felt like everybody expected less, and they kind of just, I don't know what it was, if it was because I was like, maybe I didn't have the best grades starting off, but they knew I was smart, but I just felt like everybody expected me not to do great things.
Interesting.
Like, I don't know if it was because how I looked or how, like, because I was a girl, they just expected less from me than other people. But I think that, like in middle school and elementary school, expecting me to do less in academics made me do better. Like, it kind of gave me, like, around 8th grade, that's when I started to get my act together. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this work, and I'm going to get good grades. I had, like, A's and B's. And my parents were like, what? This is shocking. They were like, we didn't
see this coming, yeah.
Yeah, they're like, we didn't score that high in school, and, like, your sister, and I was just exceeding expectations. And then after that, I was like, well, I'm going to show everybody to expect more from me and to not expect anything less. And ever since then, I felt like it's just been driving me to do great things.
She is talking about getting her act together in 8th grade, and I'm like, it was like 25. You know, it's just so impressive. Like, it really is impressive to sit here with you and hear you say those things at your age. Like, it really is very impressive just mentally where you are and how mature you are at such a young age. Yeah. How did that happen?
I think it was because I have an older sister. Like, we're like 10 years apart.
Okay.
And she's my only sister, and my parents they're not like super young, but they're not, you know, they're a little older.
Okay.
I don't want to say that.
Don't
they're
get
like,
in trouble with your parents now.
They're like, okay. No, but I always felt like, because my sister was so old, when I was born, she was 10. So
you have that older influence that's not a parent, it's your sister.
Yeah.
So you're close, but she's older.
Yeah. So when I was 5, she was already 15. So it's like all my influence has been coming from older people and going to the club and stuff like that and having to interact with kids. I felt like sometimes I felt more mature. I've always felt more mature than kids my age.
Yeah, I bet. And was your sister at 15 telling 5-year-old you, like, hey, get your act together? Or...
No. No.
In 8th grade, was she the one saying, okay, you got to get your act together? Or was that more on your own, but she was a good influence because she was older and was doing the things that maybe you wanted to do?
I think it was more on my own. To be honest, she was... I don't know how to say it. Like, sometimes I feel more mature than her. I don't know, but I think that's because she was the only child, and our cousins, they were the same age. So that was her influence, and she didn't...
Yeah, she had, like, similar age influence where you had that older influence.
Yeah.
Okay.
And sometimes I feel like I'm more mature than her, but other times I'm like, she'll tell me something, I'm like, okay, you're older, like, you've experienced more, but sometimes I still feel way more mature than you.
I'm going to take your advice in some parts, and in some other, maybe not.
Yeah, I guess it was on my own. And, like, my 8th grade teacher, she would assign work and stuff like that. So, and it was a lot of work. But I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do it. And she was like, oh, wow, like, you did this and nobody else did, and your answers were really good, and that kind of motivated me.
Okay.
So just getting the motivation from my 8th grade teachers and the club. Like, the club always wants you to get good grades. They have, like, programs about it and stuff like that.
That's good.
Yeah, I feel like I had a lot of push in 8th grade for myself and, like, my teachers.
Between the school and the clubs, it just built, like, this really awesome support system.
Yeah.
That's really good. And you said you grew up in Miller. Love the area. How do you like it?
So, I didn't grow up in Miller,
Okay.
but I was born in Chicago, and then around 3 years old, so I don't even remember, we moved to Lake Station.
Okay.
And then at Lake Station, we lived there for up until I was in 7th grade, and then we moved to Miller.
Okay.
And ever since then, we've been living there. But, I like it. Like,
It's beautiful.
Yeah, I have, like, my cousins there. Like, one of my cousins lives down the block from me.
Ooh, good.
Yeah, his grandma, like, lives across the street from him. So, like, I really like it.
You got the beach down the street, probably. It's definitely never far if you're in Miller.
Yeah.
Good. That's cool.
Yeah.
I like Miller a lot. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay, so, oftentimes I talk about a work-life relationship. Like, how do you build your work into your full life? Because I think, as I maybe mentioned to you earlier, I think work-life balance is played out. It's a little kind of old, dry. We've talked it to death. But how do you build a life that your work fits into? So, similar question to you is, it sounds like you're doing a lot. So you're at the club, and you're helping, and you're working at the club. You're singing, you're dancing, you're going to school, you're obviously looking into your future and planning some of that too. How do you manage to keep all of those plates spinning at once without going crazy, without affecting your grades, without affecting your dance? Like, how do you keep it all going? How do you balance it all?
It's definitely hard. Like, there's been times where I felt like maybe I was feeling burnt out, to be honest. I know people are like, well, you could do anything, and, like, you just have to do this and that and that. And I was trying to do this and that and everything.
Yeah, I'm trying to help myself, but...
And I was like, man, this is a lot. Like, I have a lot going on. And I was doing track, too. I cut that out. I cut that out for this year.
Okay.
Next year, hopefully I could come back to it. But I had to, like, cut some things out.
Something had to give, yeah.
Yeah, because I felt like I was just giving, like, 10% to everything for a little bit. I was like, this isn't fair to anything that I'm doing. I should just, like, cut the things loose that maybe are not as important or I'm not, like, striving that much in, and focus on the things that I could do really good in. Like,
Smart.
So, like, I was, like, suffering after a while, like, mentally handling it. But after realizing that and just, like, taking a moment to myself, like, you don't have to, like, prove everything all the time. You don't have to prove that you could do everything because you're already doing so much.
And it's better to do 5 things really, really well than 8 things okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how I was starting to feel after a while. And I'm like, I'm so stressed out. Like, I'm going everywhere. And I still have a busy life, but it's, like, after, like, cutting some things out or, like, prioritizing things, like, taking time for me and saying, like, no, I actually can't go. Like, I'm going to take some time for myself.
Smart.
Because, like...
You've got to do that.
Yeah.
You got to say no to something or someone at some point. You've got to say no and say yes to, I'm just going to actually chill at home tonight because I can't do everything. I'm going to skip the party, or I'm going to skip the dinner, or I'm going to skip that one thing that I can say no to, because you got to take time for yourself.
Yeah, it was hard for me to understand that I needed time for myself, and I couldn't just give everything to everybody else all the time.
Yeah.
So, like, how I keep it managed is I try to journal or try to, like...
That was literally my next question, so dive right in. I love that, yes. So journaling's good. That kind of gets it all at least laid out for you. Kind of, let me just take all the stuff floating around in my head and get it on paper.
Yeah.
Good.
So I journal. Sometimes I'll, like, take a bath, or I'll try to watch a movie. Maybe a movie that's not going to stress me out. Because sometimes
so lighthearted,
yeah, sometimes I watch a movie and I'm crying and I'm more stressed out. And I'm like, great. Now I'm like...
I absorb the emotional side of television, whether it be movies, Netflix, it doesn't matter, TV. I am very much the same, where whatever I'm feeling, I have to make sure that I match that. Like if I'm feeling angsty, I can't go watch angsty TV or a movie that's like drama or high action because it brings it to a 10 so fast.
Yeah, that's how
it's like, okay, if I need to chill, I need a boring movie, a funny movie, a mindless movie, or I'll just put on like that show, Is It Cake? Like, literally, is this a beach ball or is it cake? It's the most mindless show ever. I'm like, oh, it was cake. Who knew? But it doesn't take my brain, and I can shut it off and just like relax a little bit. And I think that's a really smart thing.
Yeah, sometimes I'll just watch like mindless videos on YouTube. And
Yeah.
Like it doesn't have to make sense. Like I just need something to like shut my mind off for a second and like get in like back into what I was doing.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I think that's what I think. Like for my generation, we're always like, what's this YouTube? Like, why are kids on YouTube just like scrolling? But it's the same thing. It's our turning on the TV and not caring that there's commercials and it's some dumb, Friday TGIF show. You probably don't even know what that means, but we do. Like that is something for us that like we would just turn on the TV. There would be tons of commercials, but you didn't care. And I think that's the YouTube of today is just turn it on. It's going to tell me what I want to watch next. And candidly, it's probably going to be pretty darn right. So just turn it on and let's go.
Yes.
Good.
It's just like mindlessness. And I'm like, you know what? Great. That's exactly what I needed right now. And then I move on with my day somehow.
Yeah, exactly. It picks me up enough to hit the road again. And we're exclusively, our Great News Life is exclusively positive news. We don't touch any crime, any politics. We get to tell kind of those really good stories. Mm-hmm. Tell me a really good story that you've read or that's happened in your life, in your school, and with your friends. What's a positive news story that you've had recently? Anything?
I guess a positive, I guess for me, I had the dance team. I started a dance team in the summer, mm-hmm. and I had
this past summer.
Yeah, just
Great.
This past summer, and we started, and we just got new uniforms and stuff. Well, not new, our first pair of uniforms.
Okay, ever. That's big.
Yeah, and pom poms and stuff, which were.
You're officially legit.
Yes, with the pom poms, yes. And I'm like, they were. Oh gosh, I don't even want to think about how expensive. They were $14 for one pom-pom.
Little pom-pom.
Yes. Not even per pair.
And you're like, guys, why is this so expensive?
Yes, it was great to see because they, most of them, some of them can't afford to go into leagues or stuff like that. And
the ones expensive.
Yes. So it's more affordable and stuff like that. And they didn't have to pay for the uniforms or their pom-poms. It was a club.
Okay, so you worked with the club, you got all that taken care of sponsors and all that stuff, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But now these kids have uniforms and pom-poms and all that they need because of the club and you working together to get it to happen.
Yeah, it was great to see them because they were like, what? They were like, what the heck is this? And they weren't expecting it. So
I was going to say, full surprise?
They knew that they were getting them, but they didn't know when. So when they came, they were like, is it actually happening right now? And
cool.
They were yeah, they were, I don't know. It was
how
cool.
rewarding that had to be.
It was wow, I'm 17 and I have a dance team. I could give them this opportunity.
Yeah, that's big.
Yeah.
And what do you guys want to do with the dance team? What's the next steps for that? First of all, does it have a name? Let's shout them out.
Oh, it's called Code Blue. Code Blue Dance Team.
Code Blue Dance Team. Yeah. Okay, love it. And how can we, do you guys perform? How do we see you? Okay. Is that still in the works yet?
We've performed more intimately in the club. And we've had stuff like Halloween dances and Christmas dances where we just we take the kids and we have a dance for them, obviously, but before the dance starts or something, before we eat and stuff, they'll perform for them. We've had a showcase in the summer where we had all the parents and their family members that wanted to come, and we gave them back to school supplies and stuff like that in bags, and they performed. That was their first ever performance in the summer.
How cool.
Yeah.
And then you guys can perform for the ribbon cutting for the Valpo Club and for the you've got futures. I love this. That's cool. Yeah. And you don't have any, you mentioned law and you mentioned, kind of some things for your future, but it wasn't dance. Do you have any plans to keep that going as you progress through high school and into college and all that stuff?
For dance, you know, I'm gonna be sad because next year is my next year.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's my last year.
Last year with the clubs, yeah.
It's my last year with the club, and it'll probably be my last year with the team. I don't know if I'll come back.
Like how that works, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll like be hired and then like be a coach, like, or if I can't handle that.
She's not saying anything, Boys and Girls Club. She's just saying.
I don't know if I'll like, you know, be able to come back.
How does that work? And what your future looks
or
like.
even if I can with like classes and stuff and going to college, because I know that's something I want to do. But
so you might have to find the person you're going to pass this all to.
Yeah, I've been thinking about that.
Yeah.
I have one more year. I'm like, I have to pass it to someone. It's gonna be hard, but you know, I want it to live on, even if it can't be with me.
That's great. And how do you think the clubs, you know, obviously the dance team is something I think you brought up to the clubs as a good idea?
Yeah. It was kind of like, so one of my old club directors, so I had an idea before. Let me backtrack. But it was an idea that the dance team that I'm on, we would take the girls and we would like show them a routine. And for a halftime show, for like a basketball halftime show.
Okay.
We would just have like a little performance. Maybe if it was like 3 minutes, 2 minutes, it didn't really matter. But we would show them a routine that was easy for them, like a little pom-pom camp thing that was going on. And then she was like, well, like start your own dance team. Like, why don't you just start your own dance team like here? Like, there's a lot of kids that, you know, they will want to do something like that. And I never thought about that because I'm like, you know, nobody really thinks like, would girls like to dance here at the club? Like,
you're like, I might like it, but that doesn't mean everybody's going to.
Yeah. And I was like, at first I was overwhelmed. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know the first thing about coaching. I never coached before. And I just kind of did it. I was like, I planned, the first thing was just planning the first routine. And I was like choreographing the routine. And before like summer had got out, and I was like choreographing, and I had never really done that on my own either. So that was new for me too. And that routine, it was like, we just like cranked that routine the whole summer. It was like 3 minutes and 30 seconds.
Oh,
so
wow.
It was a pretty long routine.
Yeah.
But we had the whole summer to learn it. And like, it was a struggle at first. I'm not even gonna lie.
Because everyone's going left when they're supposed to be going right, and everyone's a mess?
Yes.
I assume.
Yes. Some people are like, wait, this is I'm like, your right hand. Is this one? This one? This one? This one? I'm like, the right hand. You're right.
You have to know this by now.
Yes. I'm like, if you're 10 and you don't know your left from your right, you need to learn it now.
Yes.
Because this is the time to learn it. And I'm like...
So it started a little rocky.
Yes, it did. Or they're just like, oh yeah, I want to dance, and then they'll just stare off into the distance.
Yeah, get distracted, want to do cartwheels over to the left or whatever.
The cartwheels, they still do cartwheels. Even when they're
I just made that up, but I hit it on the head, it sounds like.
Yes, even when they're not supposed to, I'm like, okay, let's do that routine again. Does like 2 cartwheels before the routine. I'm like, can you like get back in your spot?
Plus you're wasting your energy. Like
they have endless energy. They will never run out of energy.
Fair.
He's like, I'm
gonna need you guys to take a breath, please.
I'll have them run laps, so I'm like, okay, 2 laps. And if I feel like they're all like hyper still, I'm like, okay,
2 more.
I just had a competition like who could run the most laps without stopping. I was like, you could run like super slow, even if it's like a little walk. I don't care, but whoever is still moving.
Nice.
And they were just like...
And it went on for probably ever?
Yes.
Ugh.
I'm like... It went on for like 11 minutes. I'm like...
Oof.
How are you guys going to be done?
Please.
I had to cut it off at like 3 people.
Ugh. You're like, you all win. It's fine.
Yes.
Anything on your life, the clubs, anything that we haven't touched on that you want to talk about?
I mean, I'm not really sure. I don't think. I'm trying to think if I have anything. I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as I mentioned, we have quick response questions that are accompanied with this buzzer that basically, if you don't answer fast enough, I will buzz you. It has not happened a lot. Now, Kelly, our previous episode, she was March's episode. If you go back and listen, she was supposed to get buzzed, but she stole my buzzer. So she literally was like, oh, I'm not really sure of that answer. And I was like, you can't steal the buzzer. But she did. Otherwise, we don't have a ton of buzzes. It's okay. Yeah. So let's go. Here we go. There's like 10 of them. You ready? Would you rather go into the past and meet your ancestors or go into the future and meet your great-great-grandchildren?
Past ancestors,
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah? Why?
Yeah. That just sounds way more intriguing to me. To know who came before me and, why wouldn't I want to know?
With all of the people that made you.
Yeah, exactly. I'm great. Why would I want to know?
I love you. You're fantastic. Would you rather meet George Washington or the current president?
George Washington.
Same thing. History?
Yeah, it's he just had so many views that we should still be, practicing that I learned in history class. And I'm
okay.
He was actually so smart, and I just thought he was just
Some random old man.
Yeah. And then I learned about him, oh my God, he was, prolific, and we don't even listen to him.
Okay.
What the heck?
I feel like I need to brush up on my history. No, jeez. What women... Nope. Let's try that again. What woman would you want to have on your side in a battle royale?
Anybody?
Anybody. It could be someone you know, someone famous, someone you've never met before.
Okay.
Ronda Rousey. I don't know.
Ariana Grande.
Love that.
Ariana Grande. Miss Shantae. She's right there. But
she's behind the camera. You can't see her, but she's giggling. She's excited to be on the crew.
My mom, my sister.
Gotta have it. Okay.
Okay.
You got a whole crew.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. Who else?
This is your battle posse.
Mulan from.
Good one. Okay. That's good. Would you rather have everyone in the world be more smart or more nice?
Smart.
Good one. That one always throws me. I always feel like I can guess what everyone's going to say, and then I'm almost always wrong. What is your favorite month of the year and why?
I would say it's between February and October.
Interesting choices. Any meaning behind those?
February is my birthday.
I was hoping so, because otherwise February is terrible. It's
yeah,
cold.
It's my birthday. My birthday's on Valentine's Day.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
So I like my birthday. It's just, I don't know. I feel like a lot of good things happen around my birthday month, so I always look forward to that point of the month.
Okay. And October?
Yeah. October is just Halloween's my favorite holiday.
Okay. Cool.
It's just spooky and creepy and weird, and I really like October, going to the pumpkin patches and stuff like that.
Kind of the fall, spooky vibes, all of that.
Yes, I have a whole Halloween bucket list every year that.
Really?
Yeah.
And what's on it?
I have to.
You have to go carve a pumpkin, and you have to go to.
Yes.
Do you still trick or treat?
I'm embarrassed because I did this past year.
That's okay.
I'm gonna
listen. Free candy at the end of the day. Yeah. You gotta wear a costume, and that's the only price.
I made up that this upcoming October is my retirement year of going by myself.
So you're gonna go or you're not?
I'm gonna go.
I feel like you need one more before you turn 18. I think that's fair.
I just need one more, and then I'm done. So.
And do you already know your costume since you love it so much?
Honestly,
or is it a secret?
I don't. I honestly haven't even been thinking about that.
Okay. I want to hear what it is when you got it.
Yes.
It's got to be good. Good. And what'd you do last year? What'd you dress up as?
I dressed up as Raven from Teen Titans.
Okay.
And she's part of a comic book and stuff like that. And I also I had 3 different costumes. I dressed up as a deer. It was a deer. I don't know. I had it was one of my old costumes. You know what? I was a deer. Why don't I just be a deer for
That's cute.
The Halloween dance at the Boys and Girls Club that we had.
Okay.
I was a deer. And then I was a cat, but it was a cheetah weird black cheetah cat. I don't know. It was weird. It was just something I threw together.
Yeah.
And then Raven was like the main costume.
That was okay. Very good. I don't have that much into it anymore. I think I'm just, I'm old. What superpower would you most want if you could choose only one?
I think it would have to be invisible.
Okay.
Or like to fly.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I don't ever know. Invisibility scares me because I always think I want to know what everyone's talking about when I'm not around, but I don't know if that's real.
Like,
do I really want to know? I don't know.
Yeah, or sometimes there's like instances where I'm like, I just wish I could like disappear real quick.
Yeah.
I'm like,
that is a great point. Like, in this moment, if I could disappear right now, I would. Like, that would be a cool thing to be able to do in those terrible moments or whatever. But yeah, like sneaking into people's conversations, I'm always like, I don't know. I don't want to hear anyone talking smack about me.
There's some instances where I'm like, you know what, this sounds important. Like, I wish I could just like be invisible and nobody know
that I have all this info. Yeah, just kind of walk through the White House. You're like, let me listen to all these conversations. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Would you rather make a phone call or send a text?
It depends on the person, but I guess I would say send a text.
Okay. That surprises me with your age that you'd even consider making a phone call. Like, no.
There's some people I enjoy phone calls. Like,
yeah. I love phone calls. I like to talk, number one, but also I think I think you're right. It does depend. Like, if I'm going to talk to my mom, I'm not going to send a text because my mom's going to send 4 texts and reply to my one, and it's going to have 17 like emojis and exclamation points. Love you, Mom. But if I call her, I'm going to like get a full like nice story and get all the deets, and then that makes me happier.
Yeah, if you text my dad, he's calling you.
He'll just call you immediately.
He'll be like, oh, are you picking me up? Phone call. I'm like, I'm in school. I can't even answer this. I'm like...
Because he just hates texting?
He hates texting. He hates people texting him. He's like, if they have something important to say, they could call me.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, like...
I mean, I get it. I feel the same sometimes, but...
Yeah, I'm like, okay. I can't always call you, though. That's
but yeah, like when you're in school or when you're, just rushing around, just quick text.
Yeah, always a phone call. Like...
Especially if it can be a one-word answer. I think that's the call. If the answer can be a one word, it needs to be a text. Or even if I can send you a sentence and you can send me back a word, that should go text. But if it's a little complicated, let's just make it a call, because then I can ask you 3 questions really quick via phone call, be done in 2 minutes versus trying to text all that.
Yeah, even if it's a one-word answer, he's still calling you.
Really?
Like, and if you don't answer, he's calling you again. Like, and you're just like, oh, hello. Like, what the heck?
Dad, we do this all the time. Yeah. Okay. And last one, you've not gotten buzzed yet. Good job. Would you rather be a kid your whole life or an adult your whole life?
A kid.
Kid?
Yes.
Oof. I don't know if I have an answer for that one. I can't tell you. That's good.
Yeah.
Just a kid always. Because adults have too much responsibility or for different reasons.
I think that and like bills. Like, I don't want to pay bills.
Super smart.
You want to live the adult life until you have to pay for the adult life, and then it's a problem.
I love how you think this all right now. These are, like I said, this is another thing I wish I would have told myself when I was 15. Like, calm down. You have your whole 40s to be old and responsible. Don't do that now. Yeah. Go have super fun and meet lots of cool people and work towards your future and start a dance team or whatever the heck you want to do. But that's good.
Yeah.
Well, congrats on Youth of the Year. I think that is something that obviously few actually complete, and even fewer even win. So being nominated, being a finalist, winning, all of that is just phenomenal. Thank you for being on the podcast. We've loved having you. I think you are a force for the future. We definitely need to watch out. I'd love to have you back in like 2 years to see what's going on. Yeah. But congrats. Anything you want to shout out? Anybody you want to mention? Anything you want to shout out? Anything you want on the promotional side? Obviously, I would tell everybody, check out Boys and Girls Club of Northwest Indiana. They're a great group here in the region that's obviously doing lots of cool things for young folks like yourself. Yeah. Anything else you want to mention?
I guess I'd shout out like my dance team and say hi.
And what's the name again?
Code Blue.
Code Blue. I know you said it was just over the summer that you guys did that, so it's not super old. Do you guys have social, or is it really just pay attention to the Boys and Girls Club and you'll probably learn more over time?
I think, like, pay attention to the Boys and Girls Club, but maybe, like, we do have our own, like, Lake Station, like, Facebook page and stuff like that. And I'm sure we'll post something.
Yeah, more info. We're going to hear all about you guys as you become big and famous, I'm sure. Yeah. Well, congrats to you again. Thanks for being on the podcast. I'm looking forward to seeing your future, the dance team's future. I think both are really bright. All right, guys, you heard it here. You met her here. This is Jamie Cruz, Youth of the Year for Boys and Girls Clubs of Northwest Indiana. Check us out. If you haven't already, get your All About the Girls tickets. June 9th is the big event. Join us, connect with the Boys and Girls Club, and y'all have an awesome day. Talk later.